Hello, my name is Jacob Montag, and I'm privileged to teach world history to sophomores in high school. I live right outside the town of New Braunfels, Texas, and I've been teaching about 8 years. When thinking about world history, it is definitely a quintessential topic. However, it can be quite boring. So recently, I embarked on a journey to understand what was the best way to design world history. So, when designing the world history course, I had to keep in mind a very important key idea that world history can be a very boring topic to the general high schooler. Why is that? They think they don't need it. They think that it's irrelevant to their life. So, my job as the teacher is to show them that it is interesting, but given the fact that the school systems still operate very much on behaviorist 1950s factory style classes, the way we've always done it is not the wise way to do in the 21st century. Tradition is a good foundation. We build off the foundation to prepare for the future. So I did just that. I used the district resources that I have to use, keeping in mind my responsibilities of making sure they have passing state test scores, making sure they have passing district scores, because I should also mention that I did share this class with English too. And it was also important that I ensure that they were developing real world skills. So combining all these district documents with the wonderful world of project based learning, we fully embrace constructivist principles. As we go through the way we've designed the course, you're going to see a Fink's 3 column table, a district year at a glance, a unit map, a project launch, including a scenario and schedule of activities that go with it. Join me as we look through this together. So, welcome to the designing the course phase of world history. So, keep in mind, I've been teaching history for about 8 years. We know that we've already discussed that it can be kind of a boring subject if you don't do it right. So, keeping in mind that we want to have more of a mentoring role and embrace constructivist principles using assessment for learning, we are going to go with the Fink's 3 column table. We went through the unabridged version. This was designed in EDLD 5313 under the auspices of Dr. Dwayne Harapnik. Um, and what makes this such a long table, whereas some courses can be topical, some courses can be strictly very focused. World history is what's called a survey course when taught in a sophomore high school. You have to cover a multiplicity of centuries, whole millennia, whole cultures that have come and gone and went extinct. So you plan these typically in a unit setting, and you have to cover all the TEKs that the state says you have to. It doesn't matter that you are not necessarily a star EOC tested subject. It doesn't matter that you aren't necessarily responsible for them on the state report card. You still have to cover all the TEKs because that's what the state has set forth. And so it's easy to fall into the trap of just doing multiple choice tests and quizzes, which the district does require that we do some. So we have to decide, what do we want them to do? We want them to have outcome-based learning by outcomes. So each unit has some outcomes. And so what we do is we look at everything we want them to learn from. Some of it will be lectures. More of it will be discussion. There are several map skills, primary and secondary source readings, case studies, real world projects, written reports, blog posts, student generated videos like the one that you're watching now. These are all things that they want them to do. Now, so then we ask them, where do they want to go? How's it going to hold their interest? How is it going to get them engaged? Well, we do that through a variety of ways, and we'll get there momentarily. So that is Fink's 3 column table. This year at a glance was provided courtesy of Comal ISD. which is kind of just a generic template that you might see in a garden variety of school districts, where you have overview of the units, you have the expectations set forth by the district, the big ideas, the essential questions. So these are all influences that have to go into preparing for and developing a course. This is the year at a glance. The unit that I was specifically assigned to make a project for is the Renaissance and the Ottoman Empire. So you have big ideas, you have essential questions, you have TEKs, you have student expectations. So the project I designed that's going to span for units, for a whole unit, is exploring the Renaissance. So we created what's called the project launch. And so what is this? It's called Exploring the Renaissance. We give them what's called an entry event, where they learn about the material, and they have an opportunity to read several different articles, kind of activate that prior knowledge.
Hi, I'm John Green.
Courtesy of crashcourse.com. The project overview. You are a historian that is tasked with identifying linchpins in history, specifically the Renaissance era. Your work will be published online in your e-portfolio and promoted in, obviously, a fictitious journal. This is part of the scenario that we use to engage our scholars. So we go over the requirements. I give them, this is not intended to be an exhaustive list. This is intended to be something to go by. Why is that? I don't want to stifle their creativity. I give them some different categories that they need to research in order to complete the project. Again, is one project exhaustive? No. But when the student completes their project and they follow this schedule of workshops, lectures, activities, and so on, then they follow this rubric right here, what they will end up doing is creating a project so good that it actually teaches the student. Pretty cool, huh?